Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven, today with another scale figure review. Last week I reviewed Outer's Moon Cancer BB from FGO. That one was kind of a mixed reaction from me. But this time around I have a very new release right here. 1/7 scale figure of Traveller Lumine from Genshin Impact made by Kotobukiya was released just on 27th of September 2023. That is almost like exactly a week ago. I got my hands on this figure very quickly compared to most other figures, right? Mainly because I pre-order my figures on MiHoYo's official website, like their official Genshin store over in China. So that is how I got it pretty quickly, I suppose. And her official price, at least over in Japan, would be 16,800 yen, but that is before their 10% GST tax and also shipping cost. So this is considered a fairly low cost scale figure by today's standards. 17,000 plus taxes is low nowadays, but that is the reality we are living in. And today's review won't be a long one because, normally if you see a review being shorter than my usual, then you know that there is a lot of things right with the figure and not much wrong. As long the figure is a pretty simple one, of course. But there is an annoyance which I used to complain about Kotobukiya figures, and it is present in this figure as well. We'll talk about the base at the moment. As for the assembly process, it is very simple. You just take the figure out of the box and then you just put the sword into her left hand, and that is it. Almost no assembly required for this figure. Yeah, everything was really straightforward, really simple, and parts, they just fit very nicely. And of course, speaking of Kotobukiya online shop exclusive, which is this extra face plate over here. Kotobukiya online shop exclusive, my ass, man. I did not get this from Kotobukiya. I got this from Genshin official store in China, and I got the faceplate anyway. Yay! But this faceplate, how do I put it? It is kind of boring to look at. It isn't that much different from the default one on this figure. The only difference I could see over here is the mouth. Meanwhile, everything else is very similar. So I think you'll be fine without this faceplate. And between the two faceplates over here, I still prefer the default surprised Pikachu face. I think that is quite a bit nicer. This gentle smile face feels a bit too ordinary, too generic to me. Yeah, so you won't miss out on this one in case you did not get one. Initially, I had a bit of trouble locating the seam line on the side of the head over here, like where am I supposed to pry the front part of the hairpiece off, but then eventually, I figured it out on my own after checking the instruction sheet. Speaking about the box of this figure, it was, very ordinary, nothing special about it, just about what you would expect for most anime figures. And the design of this box over here is almost exactly the same as Barbara, as you can see. So I believe that the other character, the male counterpart, Aether, was it the name? I believe the box is also almost exactly like Lumine, but just a different character in front. So all three characters by Kotobukiya so far for the Genshin series has a similar design for the box. Consistency, I suppose. And I won't complain too much for the box design of a low-cost figure. There are no obvious fragile parts on this figure, so I wouldn't be concerned about the figure breaking during shipping. And then moving on to the actual figure itself, Kotobukiya is always very consistent. There is nothing to fault Kotobukiya for when it comes to the sculpting of the figure. If you look at the official product photos for this figure and then you compare it to this figure right in front of me, carbon copy. Yes, it is an exact carbon copy. It is not like the face is slightly different or any other parts are slightly different from what you see in the official product photos. So Kotobukiya is quite good at this in general. They have always been. Like, you won't see any sculpting issues in terms of the accuracy. The accuracy of the character design or the sculpting compared to the official artwork. So in terms of sculpting, this is easily 9.5 out of 10 maybe. If not even 10 out of 10. I rarely give figures a score of 10 out of 10. So 9.5 is a really high score by my standards. And then, before we move on to the paintwork of this figure, a quick mention about the height of this figure. from the base all the way to the top of her head. She is 25 centimeters, which is, yeah, typical 1/7 scale. Moving on to the paint work of this figure, I have more great news for you guys. Like, there is barely anything wrong with this figure, if any at all, depending on how nitpicky you are. At first glance, if I'm looking at this figure from this normal viewing distance like this, like you place a figure on the shelf and then you look at it at a normal distance, this figure is pretty much almost perfect in the paint work. I don't really spot any paint scratches, paint bleeding, or any ugly seam lines, glue stains and so on. The obvious ones at least, I don't spot any at normal viewing distances. However, I'm trying to do my job as a figure reviewer over here, so I'm trying to be very critical with every single figure, no matter which one I get my hands on. So this figure is not exactly 100% faultless. There are three things actually. In front over here at the very edge of her dress, yeah, you can see a very small paint scratch over there. Like, it is quite small that I could only show it to you guys by using a macro lens, a magnifying lens in some way. So this is not something you can see at normal viewing distances. I needed a proper lens to show you guys this one. And then there are two areas where the blue color stripes along the side of her dress and her outfit in general is not that well aligned. This is an error related to masking when they are painting. The first one is on the right side of the figure near her right hand over there. You can see the blue color line is not aligning properly. The second one is at the back of her neck over here. Yeah, that blue color stripe in the middle, it is really not that nice looking. Like, could have been better, you know, but I'm just trying my best to nitpick, to find something to complain about. But really, that isn't an issue at all. And once you overlook all these three very minor stuff I pointed out about this figure, this is as good as it gets for any Kotobukiya figure. I'm actually quite impressed with how Kotobukiya delivered such a high quality figure for such a low price of under 20,000 yen in general. The last part of this review today, yeah, the base of the figure. The good thing about the base is that it is fairly weighty. There is some weight to it. So the figure is being weighed down. It is not that easy to knock over the figure despite that small base over there. It is stable. And of course, the figure does not wobble. Not to mention, we're getting a small diorama base of some kind. That is always a good thing. It is better to have a base like this over a plain, simple, round plastic disc, you know. Even though I don't like the fans over here at all. Like, this is Nandroid size fans. Yeah, it is like, I would like any prop, any diorama on the figure to be as big as the figure, like proper scale, you know. This is miniature sized, but it gives the figure some character, so I suppose it is not an issue at all. Meanwhile, on the one single negative thing about the base, yeah, the figure is permanently glued to the base. Why would you do this, Kotobukiya, when Barbara wasn't the case? Yeah. You can even see it from the box over here. Barbara, the figure, is separate from the base, and I prefer it this way, but somehow this time, Kotobukiya decided to permanently glue the figure to the base, and this is the one thing I don't understand. This is not the first time Kotobukiya is doing this. It won't be the last time either. They glue a lot of their FGO figures permanently to the base as well, and I have been complaining about that since day one I started collecting anime figures. Because, well, I am a figure photographer. I build diorama for figures, for photography, and when you glue a figure to the base like that, it really takes away a lot of options for me. Like, it is not that flexible where I can build my own base for the figure. I don't have that option. I need to stick to the base given by the figure brand who made this and then build a scene around it, which I'm not a fan of. I would like to have more creative freedom when I do a base for a figure. So this is purely a subjective issue where I'm not a fan of this, but most people, I think they won't care. The figure is glued to the base. And thus, at the end of this figure review today, this is a fairly short one because, yeah, simple figure, and Kotobukiya gets pretty much everything right with this figure. Don't bother about the three minor complaints I had with the paintwork. It is not an issue at all. So this figure is an easy recommendation for any Genshin Impact fans who like this character and looking forward to pick up this figure. In case you did not pre-order one, I don't think this figure will become very rare and expensive anytime soon. In fact, there are no Genshin Impact figures that ended up this way. Not Ningguang, not Keqing, not any of Apex Toys past Genshin figures or Kotobukiyas as well. They are quite easy to find in stock. I have no plans to review the male counterpart, Aether, but judging by the review of this figure alone, I think you guys can have a rough idea on what Aether would be like as a figure. I believe it is going to be a really good figure as well. And if you enjoyed today's figure review and find it helpful, yeah, please do give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel for more high quality figure reviews in the future. Until then, I'll see you guys again very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.